Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Community Leaders Masterclass. My name is Sophie, and I am so excited to be here with you this evening, helping you guys build your initiatives or your businesses to positively make an impact on your communities. Now, before we get started with the content for tonight, I would like to take a moment to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet tonight, paying my respects to all elders, past, present, and emerging. So I would love if you guys could share where you're joining us from this evening. I know we had a little look through the registration channels, and we saw that there was lots of people joining us from all different parts of Australia. There were some people in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, also some people up north in Atherton and down south in Sydney. I also saw some people from schools in WA. So welcome to everybody who is joining us from all different corners of Australia. Feel free to pop where you're joining us from in the chat. I would love to see who we have here with us tonight. But before we get stuck into tonight's program, I thought it's time for a little bit of an introduction. So hi again, my name is Sophie, and I'm going to be facilitating tonight's Community Leaders program. To give you guys a little bit of info about me and who I am, I'm 24 years old and I'm a program coordinator at BOP Industries. In terms of my background, when I was in school, I was a bit more of that musical theatre kid. I definitely loved all things related to the arts. I loved history. I loved English. That was definitely where my forte lied. And then after I finished school, I actually went ahead and did a degree in the fine arts, majoring in drama and film, which was definitely of interest to me. But I'd always thought that I wanted to make a little bit more of a difference, and I wanted to see a more tangible impact with my career. And so I actually went ahead and did my Master's of Teaching in secondary education. I really wanted to be working alongside young people and helping empower them as they pursue their next path. And so that's how I landed into the teaching degree, and I came across BOP, which was awesome because it kind of it was an awesome place for me to combine all of my favorite things, working with young people, seeing them be creative and working alongside them as well. So that's a little bit about me. Now, for tonight's masterclass, we have got a class that is designed to show you how you can develop a product, service, or initiative to support people in your community and make a difference in some fun and creative ways. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to explore how others are currently supporting their communities. We're actually then going to identify some of the challenges that we can address through the solutions, those products, services, or initiatives that we come up with. We're going to brainstorm some ways in which we can make a difference. And we're going to understand some of those small steps that are really necessary in order for us to make a big change. Obviously, making a change in your community is awesome, and it's great that you guys want to do that, but it doesn't happen overnight. And it's definitely important that we take a moment to recognize that even making a small step is a huge thing, and that it can lead to even bigger and better change down the track. Now, this masterclass is a part of the Next Gen Awards, and the Next Gen Awards are a national awards program that is designed to showcase the next generation of top young talent. So entries for the awards are actually open to all Australian primary and high school students and their teachers, with 6 categories on offer. So applications for those categories and the awards are currently open, and they're going to close on the 21st of August 2023. So that's a little over a month away. Now, we do have 6 categories on offer, which I'll talk you through now. So we have the Young Innovator of the Award of the Year. We have the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. We have the Team Leader of the Year. have the Gen Z of the year, and we have the Innovative Educator of the Year and Gen Alpha of the Year. So I believe we have just popped a link in the chat for you guys to access the Next Gen website, and so that you can get your nominations in. Just remembering that those nominations do close on the 21st of August. So if you haven't already submitted your nominations, I would highly recommend you get to that link and submit your nominations soon. Now, this webinar and the Next Gen Awards would not be possible without our fabulous sponsors. So I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, and we have Federation Uni, we have the Bond University Transformer Program, we have the Fogarty Foundation, and we have BOP Industries. So the Federation Uni is actually sponsoring the Young Innovator of the Year. And then we also have the Bond University sponsoring the Young Entrepreneur of the Year as well. So you can actually support us by supporting our fantastic sponsors. I believe we have now also put some links in the chat as well, directing you to their website so you guys can learn about all the fabulous things that they are doing. And you can learn about all the different ways that they are trying to support you guys, young people, and learn about more ways that you can get involved. So we're going to get stuck into the masterclass itself. We're actually going to take a look at some young change makers today. So we're going to look at how young people and others are making a big difference in some really unique and creative ways. But before we do that, I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to have a chat about some of the trends in terms of the next generation. So we're going to talk about things like things that are really important to young people and things that are really paving and shaping their careers and how they are involving themselves in different career pathways. So first and foremost, purpose is the new profit. So it actually shows at the moment that professionals under the age of 30 are willing to take a 30% pay cut to work for a company or a cause that they believe in. So pay isn't everything anymore. In fact, people are willing to decline offers which potentially have better pay in order to work for a company that they really believe in and is something that they're really passionate about. Variety is key is the second workforce trend. So we're seeing more and more these days that Gen Z and Gen Alpha are people who have a lot of different experience. So they're working across a variety of different roles and industries and doing a lot of different things and having a lot of different responsibilities, rather than being that domain expert, which is something that we've seen more of in the past. And then we're seeing more diverse experiences. So students graduating today are actually expected to change careers every 7 years. And this means because of that they are developing a much more diverse range of skills. They're actually making more connections with lots of different people, and they're having more experiences throughout their careers. And then finally, we know that organizations are really keen to hear from young people. Because young people have grown up in a generation that is unlike any other, organizations are really tapping into their expertise. They're tapping into their skill sets, and they're tapping into hearing their opinions and encouraging them to share them. So all of these things are really positive and are things that I would love for you guys to think about over the next hour when we're working towards creating these solutions for our communities, because this is all what you young people are about. You guys are all about creating change in a positive way and building really diverse experiences, which creating a community initiative is definitely a great way to do that. So we're going to talk about some young people who have had some amazing initiatives that they've launched or some businesses that they've started that have created a positive impact. So the first example is Jack Byrne. He is a year 10 student and community leader. So quite a few years ago, I think he was around 10 years old when this happened. He watched a video which was talking about some of the struggles that farmers are facing in Australia, especially with things like floods, things like bushfires, all those kinds of things. And he felt really upset about it. He wanted to help them in some capacity. He heard, obviously, through these natural disasters that they were having a lot of different negative effects on their work. And so what he decided to do was actually start an initiative at his school. It was a very simple initiative, but very effective. Essentially, it was to invite his classmates or people attending his school to come to school in free dress, but dressed up as a farmer. And in equivalent of that, they had to donate $5 for their free dress day or dressing like a farmer. And so this essentially started his initiative, Fiverr for a Farmer, which is now a nationwide initiative that happens every single year and now raises nearly $2 million every single year. So, Jack is a perfect example of someone who took his personal skills of being super motivated and really wanting to help other people and being quite passionate and took it into his professional skills, being someone who could be a leader and really create this awesome initiative. We then have McKinley Butson, who is the first Australian to win the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair at the age of 16, which is this big science competition that is very notorious, that is very well renowned. So essentially, she was someone who really loved science and STEM as a young person. Her parents often described her as someone who was tinkering around in the backyard and always inventing new things, asking a lot of questions, someone who was always asking why something was the way it was and everything like that. And because of her curiosity and her eagerness to learn, she was having a discussion one evening with her family at the dinner table. They were chatting about some of the issues that her father had seen in the medical field. And he was discussing how breast cancer patients who are currently undergoing radiation therapy are actually being exposed to further radiation, which can cause further cancer down the line later in life. And so she was really upset about this and wanted to find some sort of solution for it. Now, because of her interest in science, she actually took the time to really research and find if there was some kind of solution or some kind of technology that she could use to solve this problem. And so she actually invented a copper shield for cancer patients to protect their breasts during radiation therapy. And because of this amazing invention, she was actually named the 2018 Young Australian of the Year for New South Wales. Now that she's done this incredible thing, she is continuing to work in the STEM field. In fact, her new passion that she's focusing on at the moment is she is looking at providing pathways to students in high school who are disadvantaged and helping them pursue and get access to STEM careers. And then next we have Amelia Telford, who is an Indigenous coordinator for the Australian Youth Climate Coalition. So after finishing high school, Amelia felt that the voices of the Indigenous youth were lacking when it came to climate change. And so because of this thing that she'd found a problem for, she decided to come up with a solution by developing a program that supports Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young people to run sustainability projects in their community and create climate action. Now, because of this program she has launched, she is now working to create a network of young leaders across the country. And so, again, this is someone who had this big picture thinking and someone who was particularly good at networking. And now she is working towards having a broader network across Australia, which is addressing that initial problem that she identified after finishing high school. Now, there are other businesses that are solving global issues in different ways as well. So, the Thank You Co brand or the Thank You brand, which is something I'm sure you guys are familiar with and have probably stumbled across when you've been in Woolies or Coles. So, the Thank You brand is a social enterprise that sells personal hygiene products. They sell things like hand wash and body wash, that kind of thing. And they work off the social enterprise model. So all of the profits that they make from selling their products actually goes to charities. And so they are trying to support communities in need in regards to sanitation. They are looking at supporting education charities, and they are looking at supporting World Health charities as well. So that's an example of a social enterprise business that is really taking a simple idea, selling a hygiene product and using it for huge change within our communities. We also have Rose's Fresh Pizza. So Rose's Fresh Pizza is a pizza shop that is in Philadelphia in the US. And what they did is because they had a lot of homeless people coming into their shop to buy pizza because it was quite affordable price. It was about $1 per slice. They actually had customers coming in who were asking if they could pay it forward. So they would pay $1 for their slice of pizza, but then pay an extra dollar for somebody else's pizza as well. And so when this happened for the first time, the owner, Marcus, actually ran to the back to go get a Post-it note, and he wrote down one slice of pizza on this Post-it note and stuck it onto the wall. And so when someone came in who potentially was in need, they could take that Post-it off the wall and then they could come to the front and get their piece of pizza for free. Now, you can probably see in that image on the screen that didn't take long until everybody was willing to do this, and he had a wall full of post-it notes. And I believe in 1 year, every single day, they had somewhere between 30 to 35 homeless people receiving pizza from other people's kindness and other people paying it forward. And then finally, we have Orange Sky. Now, Orange Sky is a business that essentially looks at providing laundry and shower services to the homeless community. The way in which they do this is they actually have a van where they have a shower, they have a washing machine, and they have a dryer, all equipped within this mobile van that can travel to different communities. So, what they do is they get in the van, they drive around, they find a neighborhood that they want to stay put in, and then they offer their services to whoever needs them. And one thing that they're really is a huge part of their vision with Orange Sky is they don't just want to provide these services that are really needed for people in need, but they also want to communicate with these people. They want to have conversations with them. A big thing with homeless people is they experience quite a fair bit of loneliness, and so a big part of their vision is they really want to support them and feel that they have someone that they can talk to, someone that will listen to them. And so they usually pull out a little camping chair and chat to people whilst they are using their services. So it can be really difficult to think of where you can start. Obviously, you are all here because you want to make some positive impact on your community, which is amazing. But it can be a little bit tricky and a bit daunting to figure out what it is you're actually going to do and how you're going to help others. And so, before you start thinking about what you're going to do, what the solution is, you need to actually take some time to think about the challenge itself. And a big part of that is just identifying what challenges are out there and what challenges you can tackle as a community leader. And to do this, you can think about the different challenges, issues, and problems within four particular settings. So you might want to look at things that are a global challenge. You might want to look at the big things that are happening around our world, those big problems. An example of that could be you look at something regarding solving poverty. You could look at something on a national level. So you could look at some particular problems within Australia, within our nation. I know a big thing at the moment is the rising costs and the cost of living. So potentially you could come up with a solution for that, something to help people with that challenge. The next thing you could look at is a local challenge. So, what are some things that are happening around your local community that are difficult or are a problem? So, I know here in Brisbane, we've had quite a few issues in terms of floods. There's been quite a few floods over the last couple of years, and people are still recovering from those events. And then finally, you could look at something on a personal level. So, what are some personal challenges that affect you? Could it be something that you are particularly close with, that you have more expertise on, that you could address and have that benefit there? Something, for example, that could be mental health. So, what we're going to do now, but before we do that, is another thing you could look at as well, could be the 17 goals. So if you're still thinking and you're still struggling to identify what particular challenge you want to focus on, you could have a look at the 17 sustainable development goals. Now, these are sort of the end goals that the UN wants us to achieve by the year 2030. So these are things like no poverty, zero hunger, quality education, gender equality, so on and so forth. So you could have a look at these 17 goals and identify something particular that is a problem or an obstacle for us achieving those end goals, and you could come up with a solution for that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a moment to think about which economic, social, or environmental issue you would personally like to tackle. So I know we have on the screen what challenges are you passionate about. Write your answer in the chat. I would love you guys to have a think about what things you are particularly passionate about, what things you are really eager to create a solution for and help other people with. Remember, you can go off those four settings, something that's happening globally, nationally, locally, or personally. And you can also look at those sustainable development goals. So I'm going to give you guys a minute to think about what areas you're particularly passionate about. And I would love if you guys could pop your answers in the chat. Feel free to share with us what challenges you are passionate about. So I'll give you guys about a minute. Over to you. just realized my mute mic was on. Sorry about that. I was just saying it was awesome for you to see what ideas and things you guys are sharing in the chat. Awesome to see what you're passionate about. I saw a lot of different people chatting about things in relation to health needs, so helping people who particularly face some challenging health problems and helping them feel more supported, and homelessness. I saw some people were talking about that, and also the housing crisis as well. So definitely awesome to see that you guys have already identified some passions and things that you would like to help with. You don't have to come up with your ideas just yet. It doesn't have to be solidified, but it's awesome to see that many of you guys have got a pretty clear idea as to what you want to continue to work on. So another thing you guys need to think about before we get into designing that end solution, it's important for you to build that strong foundation of understanding. So you guys really need to take the time to understand the challenge that you are addressing before you start solving it. So once you've picked a challenge that you wish to solve on, I would recommend that you guys write down the following questions and answer them for homework with your particular challenge in mind. Now, again, this is something you can do after the webinar. You don't have to do it now, but if you've got a pen and paper in front of you, it would be awesome if you could write down these questions and answer them at a later time. So the first question is, what are the negative effects of this challenge? The second is, who does this challenge impact? Why is this challenge a bad thing? And where does this challenge occur? So by further understanding and unpacking the particular challenge that you are going to design a solution for, you will be able to better solve it. So I know that we are going to pop a message in the chat with each of these questions in case you haven't got them all written down yet, or you can also come back to watch the YouTube recorded version after the webinar has concluded. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to take a look at some of the things that are happening around the world. So again, just looking at some awesome initiatives and awesome things that are happening around the world to give us some inspiration, but also to make sure that what we're going to do isn't already out there. So I've already spoken about some amazing young people and some other businesses that are solving global challenges. But we're going to take a look at some more examples to give you guys an indication as to what is already being done to ensure that we're not duplicating existing solutions. And actually, by exploring other things that are going on, you guys might be able to gain some inspiration for your own endeavors and identify gaps potentially. So things and places where you can make a significant contribution. So the first example we're going to talk about is the fun theory. So the fun theory is an initiative by Volkswagen, which has a very simple premise. By making tasks more enjoyable and fun, we can motivate people to change their behavior for the better and for a positive impact. So as humans, there are lots of things that we know that we should do, or things that we should actually be doing in our everyday life that we don't do, merely because they are mundane or boring. And what Volkswagen has identified is if we can just inject a little bit of fun into those things, you might be surprised and find that people will actually engage in them. So for example, if someone threw a piece of rubbish in a bin, what Volkswagen did was they created this bin that uses a sound effect for the item. So it actually had a sensor in the bin so that when someone put a piece of rubbish in, it would create this cartoonish sound effect of a piece of rubbish falling down this long tunnel, as if it were falling into a bottomless pit. And the most simple change can make disposing your rubbish into this really fun and enjoyable experience, and reduce littering, and just in general help our environment. Now, with the fun theory, there are a bunch of YouTube videos online that you can watch to see all of their initiatives in action. I would highly recommend that you check them out. Just type in the fun theory Volkswagen into YouTube and you should be able to find them. But I'm going to talk to you about another one of their initiatives. I'm going to skip that one, but we're going to talk about the piano stairs. So the piano stairs is an initiative which involved transforming a regular set of stairs into a subway station. A regular set of stairs in a subway station into a giant piano keyboard. Each step has all of these different sensors that produce piano notes when they're stepped on. So the objective of this was to motivate people to choose the stairs over the escalator by making it more enjoyable and more entertaining. And they actually found after installing these stairs that 66% more people than normal chose the stairs over the escalator. So the objective was just to improve people's health, get them to make a more active choice throughout their daily commute to and from the subway station, and it worked. The fun theory was proven true. By making things more fun, we can get people to change their behavior for the better. Now, another awesome example is the bonding buffet. So, the bonding buffet is an initiative aimed at bringing travelers together and fostering connections at the airport. So, this initiative was launched by KLM, which is a leading Dutch airway. And what they did was they installed this very tall structure in the airport, which you can see in the left hand image. On the top of that very tall structure, I believe it was about 4 feet tall, they installed this table, which had an amazing Christmas feast on top of it. And so each of the seats at the bottom of the structure, there are 20 seats surrounding the bottom of the structure, had sensors in them. And so each time someone sat at one of those seats, the table would lower ever so slightly, bringing it just a little bit closer to the seats. However, if someone stood up, there is a bit of a catch. The table would go back up to its position. And so, in order for the table to be at that lower level, for everyone to be able to enjoy the food on top, there needed to be 20 people sitting in 20 seats at the exact same time. The idea of this initiative, airports are extremely lonely places. There are often people who are traveling by themselves, and they're not really striking conversations with other solo travelers. They're usually just sticking to themselves and staying on their phones or maybe reading a book. And so they wanted to create an opportunity for various different people from various different backgrounds and experiences to get together and meet and exchange stories and share a meal. So it's a pretty awesome initiative. The next example that we have is the Beehive bus stop. Now, the Beehive bus stop was first launched in Utrecht, which is a city in the Netherlands. And the idea behind the Beehive bus stops was to convert regular bus stops into bee sanctuaries to promote pollination and biodiversity. Now, in urban areas, bee populations are starting to decline, which is a huge problem because that can negatively impact our food production and also disrupt our ecosystem. And so, what they did was they converted the roofs of regular bus stops by planting flowers and different kinds of plants to attract bees to the rooftop itself, encourage pollination, and to help our environment. And again, that helped boost the local population of bees, which was the problem at the core. The next example we have is inglorious fruits and vegetables. So, inglorious fruits and vegetables are otherwise known as ugly produce. And these are produce that don't meet the aesthetic standards set by the food industry. Now, when you guys go to Woolworths or Coles, you'll probably see your really nice looking fruit and vegetables. They have a set of aesthetic standards, as in how the fruits and vegetables are meant to look. And so, farmers who produce these fruits and vegetables, whenever they have something that goes wrong with one of their produce, if it doesn't meet those aesthetic standards, they have to toss it out because they can't sell it to the major supermarkets. And so when an organization in Europe found this out, they thought it was crazy that we were wasting all this food. And so what they decided to do was they decided to go to those farmers and offer them money for those things that they would have thrown away and put them in supermarkets. They put them in supermarkets and advertised them as the grotesque apple or the ugly carrot or the failed lemon, as you can see in the picture. And they sold these for 30% cheaper than regular fruits and vegetables. Now, this is a great solution for people who are wanting to improve their health and they still want to, stick to a certain budget. And to further prove that these ugly produce are perfectly edible and just as nutritious as the other fruits, they actually created a line of soups and fruit juices to say, hey, these items taste just as good and they're just as nutritious. And you can tell that by having these delicious soups and juices You didn't even know that they were ugly produce. And so that was an incentive, and again, another way to promote people to buy the ugly produce rather than the other produce. And finally, we have the sea mask. Now, the sea mask was something that was created, an invention that was created in the midst of the pandemic to solve some of the communication problems that we were facing. So, the sea mask is this white plastic covering that you can see in the image that fits over a standard face mask. And what it does is when someone wears it, they can actually translate Japanese into 8 different languages. They can transcribe their voice into text or to call, and it can amplify the user's voice. All it needs to do this is the mask itself, and it connects via Bluetooth to an app on a phone or a tablet to do the transcribing into text, to make the phone calls, and to do the translations as well. And so this was created in response to some of the communication issues that we were having with COVID, but it still allowed people to protect themselves against COVID-19 and protect others as well. So this was a great solution to a problem that we were all facing that helped in various different ways. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to start thinking about the user. Now, with community leaders, you guys are all about helping others. And so it'll be no surprise to you that we have to spend some time thinking about the user, thinking about the actual person who we want to help and the person who is affected by the issue. Now, in order for us to do that, we have to get into the mindset of the user. And so, for us to do that, I thought we could start off by playing a little game called Guess the Customer. So, what I'm going to do in a moment is I'm going to show you a few different brands, and I want you guys to take a moment to guess which type of customer this particular brand is targeting. So, the first brand I'm going to show you is EB Games. I want you guys to take a minute to guess which type of customer EB Games is targeting. All right, guys, I'll give you a minute to have a think, and please feel free to pop your answers to this question in the chat. I saw a lot of you guys were saying young adults, someone between 30 to 13 to 30. Definitely people saying gamers, young people. Yeah, you guys are definitely hitting it on the head there. It is definitely a young person that they are targeting, possibly a male as well. And they're definitely targeting people who are interested in games. You've got that 100% right. The next one that I want you guys to have a think about is Lush. So who do you think, what type of customer do you think Lush is targeting? Again, I'll give you guys about a minute to have a think and to pop your guesses in the chat. I see that you guys have popped some answers into the chat, which is amazing. Younger people, definitely, I think that's correct. Exactly as you've said, Mackenzie, it is someone who they are the people who are very environmentally conscious. A lot of you guys have said females. Um, Young people, again, people who are interested in the environment. That's awesome, guys. You've definitely hit that on the head. Obviously, with them selling bath products and hygiene products, you're probably right with it being a female. And exactly as you guys have identified, environmentally conscious, that is one of the things that Lush does for sure. So, yes, I think you guys have absolutely nailed that one too. So, the next and final example I'm going to get you guys to guess the customer is Gucci. So, can you guys guess which type of customers Gucci is targeting? Again, for the final time, I'm going to give you guys a minute to have a little bit of a think and pop your answers in the chat. Off you go, guys. You guys are too good at this game. I love it. So, yes, definitely those people who come from a higher socioeconomic background, people who are a little bit wealthier, have a little bit more money to spend. And definitely, yeah, I think females is probably a good assumption as well, considering it's a fashion brand. So, great job, guys. It's awesome to see that you are really in tune with who customers and users are for some big brands. That'll be really helpful when it comes to developing your own user personas for your own solutions. So, guys, before we dive into developing a solution to the problems that you have selected, it's important that you assess exactly who you are developing the solution for and why they actually need the solution in the first place. And so, user personas are a great way that you can empathize and understand your users so that you can develop a solution that really benefits them and is tailored to their needs. So, an actual great example of a set of user personas is from Spotify. I'm sure we've all used Spotify at some point in our lives. And what they've done is they've actually come up with three distinct categories of users for their software platform. So the three user personas they've come up with are the passive, the curator, and the nostalgic. I'll tell you guys a little bit about each of these personas. So the first persona is the passive. Now, our passive is the person who takes a little bit of a backseat approach when it comes to listening to music. They really like music. They love listening to it all the time. And they pretty much listen to music based on their mood throughout the day. They would love to discover new music, but they don't really have much time to dedicate to that. So that's our passive persona. Then we have our curator. Now, our curator is the person who loves to create playlists based on every single occasion. So they'll create a specific playlist for parties, for different trips that they're going on. They'll also create playlists for different seasons or different months of the year. So they definitely like to curate and tailor their playlists. And they consider themselves to be a little bit of a tastemaker or a bit of a music connoisseur, and they love sharing their music discoveries with their friends. And then finally, we have the nostalgic. Now, our nostalgic is very much only listening to the music that they have grown up with. So they have particular favorite bands, they have particular favorite artists and different genres that they favor. And so they're sticking to those, the things that they know and the things that they are familiar with. And so because they are so dedicated to particular genres and to particular artists, they definitely want to keep up to date with different concerts and things that are going on for those artists. So that is their primary focus when it comes to listening to music, only the people that they love. So, what I want you guys to have a little bit of a think about is which Spotify user persona are you? Are you the passive, the person who takes a bit of a backseat approach, doesn't really want to create playlists or, find new artists? Are you the curator who spends a lot of time curating your playlists, making every playlist for every different occasion? Or are you the nostalgic, the person who sticks to the bands, artists, and genres that they know and love? So I'll give you guys a minute to have a think about which Spotify user persona you are. Are you the passive, the curator, or the nostalgic? Feel free to pop your answers in the chat. I would love to see who we've got with us. Great to see you guys answering which Spotify user persona you guys are in the chat. I saw that we had a few passives. We had a mix of a curator and a nostalgic. Very cool. I myself think I am a bit of a passive. Love music, want to be listening to it all the time, but I don't really dedicate that much time to finding new artists, unfortunately. Something I need to try and do a little bit more of. So again, with Spotify, they are excellent at the user personas, and they have even gone a step further beyond those three user personas that we just looked at and created really detailed user personas like this one we have here, which is of Shannon Evans. Now, Shannon Evans is not a real person. She is completely fictitious. That image is probably from stock images. But what they have done is they have created a really detailed look into Shannon, and they have provided us with a very detailed bio about Shannon. They've given her an age, an occupation, a location. They've even told us a little bit about her personality and her technological knowledge and some of the brands that she really enjoys shopping with. But most importantly, they have given us her needs, her goals, her frustrations, and her motivations. And this is really important because through these things, we can actually identify Shannon's desires and maybe even some pain points. And through that, we can actually address those things and really meet Shannon's expectations. And so that's what I want you guys to be doing. I want you to be creating a very detailed user persona for your own solutions or your own initiatives that you come up with for your community. And so, for a little bit of homework, I would love if you guys could spend a little bit of time coming up with a user persona that may be affected by the challenge you have selected. And the key is to understand what this person needs in their everyday life so that your ideas can help them long term. Now, when you're creating your user personas, you can definitely give them a name, you can give them an age, a location, and all of that demographic stuff. That's actually a really great tool because it can help you sort of envision this fictitious person to someone you could be helping in the future. But the most important thing that you need to do is look at those needs, wants, and frustrations. Again, that is because that is where the core information lies. So you need to look at the needs, those basic necessities that they need from your initiative, the wants, the extra things that would be awesome to have, but they're not essential. The frustrations are the things that are annoying them about other solutions or other initiatives out there. And so I've actually given you guys a few different examples, and I've imagined that these needs, wants, and frustrations are for a product like the Thank You brand. So a set of hygiene products that have a social impact, they're a social enterprise. So a customer or a user who is purchasing a Thank You brand product would need something that is affordable, something that is making a positive social impact, and something that is of good quality. The wants that they may have a variety of scents. They might want some nice packaging, and they may want the ingredients for the product to be ethically sourced. So they might want them to be vegan or cruelty free. And then finally, the frustrations they may have with other existing products could be that they have limited availability, so they're not really accessible in shops that they frequent. It could be a lack of transparency, so perhaps they have something on the bottle saying, you are supporting charities, but it doesn't really tell us about what charities it's supporting or how it's supporting them. And it may be something like strong scents. Perhaps they don't have something that's fragrance free, or it's just some scents that they don't particularly like. So when you guys are creating your user personas, make sure you really identify what the needs, wants, and frustrations of your user are. All right, so now that we have had a look at what other people are doing, we've had a look at what young people are doing, we've had a look at other things that are happening around the world in terms of making a global impact. We've had a look at our users and we know how important it is to understand those. Now it's time for us to start bringing everything together and bringing our initiatives to life. So when you guys are developing your solutions or brainstorming what you could do, there are a variety of different things that you could look at. You could look at starting a fundraiser, you could look at developing an app, you could look at inventing something new, you could look at building a business, or you could look at starting a school initiative. So something that is an excellent example of an initiative is the Great Book Swap. Now, this is an initiative where attendees can come along and swap their favorite book in exchange for a gold coin donation. The great thing about this is anyone can get involved. So workplaces, book clubs, individuals, and all kinds of organizations can actually host a book swap. But all of the donations, those gold coins for being a part of the book swap, go directly to the Indigenous Literacy Foundation. So that's an example of something similar that you could launch to really support your area. Then we have the Baltimore Algebra Project. Now, this is a student-led project in Baltimore, Maryland, which is in the US, and it offers mathematics tutoring and mentoring to middle school students in low-income neighborhoods. So the initiative is actually staffed by high school and college students, and it has successfully supported a huge amount of students in helping with their math skills, preparing them for tests and higher education. So that is something that you might want to look into. Is it something where you could have a one-on-one mentoring process with people in need? And then finally, you could look at something like Ryan's Recycling. So this is an awesome example of a business that has been started by a teenager in California. So Ryan actually runs this business where you can book through his website for Ryan to come to your house and collect your bottles and your cans and recycle them appropriately. Not only does he run this service, but he also sells merchandise on his website where all of the proceeds go to various animal conservation charities. And over the years, his business has been very successful and he's been able to recycle nearly 2 million bottles. So again, that's a kind of service or something else that you could run for in relation to your particular challenge. So again, if you are starting to wonder, okay, but how do I get the ideas flowing? How do I actually figure out what I want to do? You could actually do a design sprint. It's super easy for you to do yourself at home. All you'll need is a piece of paper, a pen, and a timer to help you guys come up with multiple different ideas to solve the challenge that you have identified. So the idea is to give yourself only 60 seconds per idea. So for example, if you were to draw 8 boxes on your piece of paper, you would only have 8 minutes total to come up with 8 ideas. And this activity is super helpful because again, it's something that puts a little bit of pressure and you have a set of boundaries that you need to sort of adhere to in order to get those ideas out there. And that is something that you probably wouldn't be able to do in other situations. So after you have a bunch of different ideas and you're figured out, which one is your favorite or which one you think is really strong and which one you're going to bring to life, what I'd recommend to you guys is that you take a moment to think about your solution and what it will look like and how it will work. So you can think about the following elements as you continue to create your solution. So you need to think about, what do you actually need for your solution to work? How will you get people using your solution? Who is going to manage your solution? And how will this solution help solve this challenge? So that's something I want you guys to think about after today's webinar. Once you've got heaps of ideas and you've figured out which one you want to work with, make sure you take the time to really think about how it's all going to work and operate. So what we're going to do, because I'm just conscious of time, is I would love if we could jump into this next activity, and I'll give you guys a minute to have a think. So now that you know some things that can really help you bring your idea to life, I would love if you guys could take a moment to think of some small goals that you could slowly work your way towards to bringing your solution and initiative to life. So, what I want you guys to have a think about is, what is one thing you can do in the next week to bring your idea to life? What is one thing you can do in a month to bring your idea to life? And what is one thing in a year that you can do to bring your idea to life? Now, because not all of us probably have our solutions and our ideas there yet, what we might do is, I'll give you guys a minute to have a think about what is one thing you can do in the next week to bring your idea to life. So I want you guys to have a think about that. What is one small step that you could take towards bringing your solution to life? So I'm going to give you guys a moment, and we'll come back and hear your answers. Can't wait to hear what small steps you guys are thinking of taking. My mic is on mute. I got there in the end. So that's definitely something you guys can continue to think about over the next couple of weeks as you continue to develop your ideas. What are those small steps that you can take? Again, this is a huge thing that you're going through. You're trying to make a positive impact in your community, which is amazing, but it's no small job. And so by sort of scaffolding and compartmentalizing, by 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, you can make your goals more achievable in that way. And it can sort of help you get there in a more accessible way as well. So, before we wrap up for this afternoon, I thought we could just leave on some bits of advice, things to take away as you continue to work with your initiatives. So, the first piece of advice I would recommend to you guys is to start with a passion. So, you should choose a cause that ignites a fire within you. Select something, a challenge or a problem within the community that you genuinely care about and feel deeply passionate about. Your passion is the driving force behind your initiative. If you're not passionate, you're not going to be able to push forward and keep working the same way. It'll keep you motivated and committed throughout your journey. And when you genuinely care about something, you inspire others through your passion as well. And that can create a ripple effect of positive change. The second thing I would say to you guys is to understand the community. So make sure you immerse yourself in the community, you listen to its members, and you really learn about the challenges and opportunities. This understanding is going to help guide you in developing your initiatives and making sure that they are super relevant, impactful, and sustainable. And so by engaging with the people who you are trying to help, you are going to be able to involve them in the decision making process to ensure that those initiatives really resonate with their needs and aspirations. Again, creating meaningful change requires collaboration. So I would recommend to you guys that you really seek out for mentors and you find people who you can get support from. So, by working with local organizations and businesses, community leaders who share your mission, you can actually pool your resources and expertise and networks to really amplify your impact. So, collaborating and seeking support will foster that sense of unity within the community and again, just create a stronger foundation for a more impactful initiative. Now, in order for you to make a change, you're going to have to make noise about your solution and the problem as well. And so you're going to need to raise awareness about the initiative and its goals. And so there are a few different ways you can do that. You can attend community meetings, you can post on social media, you can partner with businesses and organizations, write to your local government, host fundraisers or events, or you can engage with the local media as well. And finally, my last piece of advice to you guys is to persevere and stay committed. So, creating change is not easy. You need to be prepared for challenges and setbacks and moments of self doubt. But if you persevere through these obstacles and stay committed to your cause, you will be able to succeed. Your resilience and determination will inspire others to join you on this journey and contribute to a better future for all. So that's a wrap for the program, guys. Thank you so much for joining us this evening with today's Community Leaders Masterclass. Again, this masterclass has been designed to show you how you can develop a product, service, or initiative to support people in your community and make a difference in some fun and creative ways. So today we have explored how others are supporting their communities. We've looked at some global, national, and local challenges. We've brainstormed ways to make a difference, and we've understood those small steps necessary for big change. So, another big thank you to our sponsors. This webinar and the Next Gen Awards would not have been possible without them. So, I would like to take a moment to thank Federation Uni, Bond University Transformer, the Fogarty Foundation, and Bok Industries for helping bring this webinar to life. Now, again, you guys can support us by supporting them. Make sure you check out the links that we popped in the chat earlier for each of these organizations. They are doing some amazing things, and I would highly recommend that you check them out. And just letting you guys know, we do have another masterclass happening as part of the Next Gen Awards series. This is going to be a pitching masterclass on the 1st of August 2023. It's going to be happening at the exact same time as this masterclass. So 5:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time and 3:15 Australian Western Standard Time. So this pitching masterclass is going to see attendees looking at how they can build engaging pitches for their ideas and projects, and learning how to structure a pitch and build visuals and engage an audience. So for you guys who have come up with a community initiative and are working towards making a difference in your community, this could be an awesome masterclass for you, as it'll give you some pointers as to how you can best communicate that. And that is something that you're going to have to do as you raise awareness for your initiatives. And Maddie is going to be leading that masterclass, and she is definitely fabulous. So I would highly recommend you guys check out the link, which we're going to pop in the chat, so that you can register for this free masterclass happening on the 1st of August. Now, just as a final reminder to you guys that the Next Gen Awards applications are still open and they are going to be closing on the 21st of August 2023. If you haven't already put in your applications, I would highly recommend you do that. We will pop the link again in the chat for you so that you can get access to that and put in your nominations. Remember, it's a national awards program that is open to all Australian primary and high school students and their teachers, with 6 categories on offer. So that brings us to the end of the Community Leaders Masterclass. I am so happy that I got to spend this evening with you guys and see all of the amazing ideas that you have bubbling around. It was awesome to hear all of the contributions that you had within the chat and all of the things that you were looking towards doing in the future. I'm super excited to see how you guys go with those initiatives. Make sure to keep us updated with how you go. And I wish you all the best of luck with your community initiatives. Thank you guys so much for joining and tuning in. I had such a pleasure, and have a great rest of your evening. Thanks, guys.